I'm excited to introduce our October speaker, Derek Sturman. Derek is co-founder and CEO of Juice.ai, a startup that uses cutting-edge artificial intelligence to help big and small businesses grow their organic traffic. He is also the founder of Panda, a digital communications firm that helps professionals improve their digital reputation through SEO. Derek is obsessed with supercharging business productivity through the fusion of AI and automation. Please help me in welcoming Derek.
Keep it going. I've been on one of these in a while, man. How's everybody doing, okay? This is going to be the best presentation you see all month long, I promise you. All right, here we go. If I have any issues with, let's see, it works. All right. Like Trish so eloquently said, hi, I'm Derek. I'm the CEO of Juice.ai, like juice you drink. We help companies automate organic search traffic growth by leveraging automation and artificial intelligence. I know AI is a big, thank you. Is this better? AI, it's a buzzword. Everyone's talking about it. We have been on AI, not as Juice.ai, but as a marketing agency since 2019, back when the cutting edge AI tech was GPT-2. So it's been a while. A lot of things have changed. The capabilities of AI generally have changed. And truth be told, I am a believer that a lot of people's jobs are potentially in trouble. Yours will not be after you adhere to some of the basic guiding principles I'll explain here. So this presentation, it's over. Your job may be over, it won't be. How you can keep your job during the AI revolution by becoming one with the machine. That phone in your pocket, that computer at home, you will meld with it to become a brand new thing. All right, well, who am I? Why do you care what I say? Maybe you won't even after I explain these things, but just in case. I got my first job in 2016 at a public relations firm. My job at this firm, I was supposed to email as many reporters, editors, and news people as possible to try and get them to interview our clients. So what did I do? I didn't do how they trained me to do my job. How do they train me to do my job? Literally copy and paste emails from a Google Doc into Gmail hundreds and hundreds of times per day and send it. That's literally how this PR firm with 50 employees, millions of dollars a year in revenue, told me to reach out to people and do my job. So I figured out a way using some of the tools actually I'll explain and show you today. I found a way to get my job from 8 hours a day down to about, I think, 30 minutes if I really wanted to put forth an effort. I still got my $35,000 a year. I went up to my boss and even his boss, and I said, hey guys, I got great news. I can take everything we're doing at this firm and figure out a way to make it super, super, super automated. So that way we can do more things with the same number of people we already have. He said no. I quit. I started my own PR firm. And because I knew how to do the work of 10 people with just one, that business was successful and it became Promo Panda. It's still going strong, promopanda.com. We serve about 500 clients per year. And I started that in 2017. In 2018, I took some of the guiding principles of search engine optimization from a mentor of ours and created a digital marketing agency that, again, used a lot of automation to do its deliverables. A lot of people used human writers. We only used human writers sometimes. We use them as editors more than anything. That agency became Juice.ai. We launched in May of last year. We took basically our super simple, super proprietary organic search engine optimization formula, and we baked it into a very simple web app. that app did two things. It generated content with AI, and it automated your keyword research using SEMrush data and a few other APIs, which again, I'll talk about a little bit today. We had, as of fall last year, about 400 active subscribers, about 1,000 more active users, either on a trial or who bought like a lifetime deal. But we had a problem, and our big problem was AI is changing the way we do search engine optimization so quickly. It's changing the way you do much of anything so rapidly. Our users got confused because we would make UX changes, that is to the actual user interface. Once you log into Juice, how you used our app changed almost from week to week, from sometimes even day to day. That's how fast we'd be pushing changes. That's how fast everything is changing with AI. And so our customers, our users, they got confused because the juice that someone would be getting who didn't update their profile or their account would be a lot different from the quality of what another customer was getting. And we realized something. We don't want to have a user interface because human clicky, not as fast as computer movie electrons, right? You can't possibly be as smart and sharp and fast as a computer is. So we wanted to find a way to deliver all the value of our app programmatically without making people have to monkey around with yet another user interface that you gotta log in to use, that you gotta remember your password for. Oh, you forgot your password, you gotta reset it. I know how you work, I'm the same way. We said, to hell with that, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to power all of our customers just with back-end technology. And we're gonna make it so that all you gotta do is check out your analytics, your GA, your Google Analytics, and see all the traffic you're getting. That's our user experience. And we lost some customers because there's a lot of really, really small shops that want to do things their way. But what we gained is much bigger, much better client satisfaction because we could move the app as fast as we needed it to, and no one would be left behind. Okay. That's all well and good. That's not why I'm here. That's not what I'm here to tell you about. What I'm here to tell you about is that AI is for real. Okay, there's nothing artificial about artificial intelligence. I know some people have varying opinions on what is AI, how is it, is it as good as a human for certain tasks? They call it frequently a parrot. Like you feed in something and it parrots back what it thinks you want, or what it thinks you want, with varying degrees of quality. I'm sorry to say it, but for all intents and purposes, based on the research papers I've read, AI is really, really, really close to being like you and me. It's not thinking in all the same ways, but it's damn close, and it shows sparks of creativity when you use it correctly. Considering that this tech is barely 5 years old, and it's already performing better than humans on a lot of really, really important, supposedly creative tasks, that should be a real wake-up call to you. It certainly was to me. By the way, you're really smart, I'm sure, maybe even genius. Only one of those two things, humans and AI, is going to evolve exponentially and rapidly. I'll give you a hint, it's not you. You can read as many books as you want. You're not going to keep up with the machine. That's why you got to become one with the machine. Okay, more specifically, why are you at risk of potentially losing your job or losing your value at your firm or your workplace with the rise of this technology? The biggest thing is that overseas workers, I don't care if they're in India, the Philippines, South America, parts of North America, their ability to speak and generate English level content in any capacity, or in even non-English language content, massively, massively increased, like never before. All of a sudden, someone who maybe doesn't speak English very well, certainly can't write English very well, they're living thousands and thousands of miles away, they can make a pretty damn good email. They can even write a pretty damn good blog post. I mean, this is SEM PDX after all. I think you guys know a thing or two about the importance of blog posts. All that can be automated by people who really don't have a ton of English language skills. That means that the job you do right now, depending on what it is specifically, it might be able to be done by not just a machine, but even a person who lives thousands of miles away. Your Americanness, your access to the local labor market, it doesn't really matter. And besides, a lot of what we do, I'm gonna guess, could probably be done by a computer anyway. Your employer might not know it yet, but you will. And the sooner you tell him or her and then make it work for your employer by increasing productivity, that's good for you. All right, so this is where I want to talk about the very, very, very basic things that I think everyone needs to know during this AI revolution. And the first is HTML. Raise your hand if you know how to write by hand without any AI HTML. I'm just curious. Okay, good, more or less. That's what I figured, all right? I mean, look, SEM generally is a pretty tech-centric field. It's not surprising. Most people walking around have no idea what HTML is, let alone how to write it. You should be able to understand what it is and how to write it by hand, even rudimentary HTML, because that means you are going to be able to command the machine, whether it's ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, whatever large language model you use, you will understand when and how you can take plain text or any other, let's say, copy and convert it into HTML. There's a very, very helpful platform called codecademy.com. And it's not Code Academy, I know what you're thinking. It's codecademy.com. This website has a bunch of courses that explain the very basics of comp sci that you missed out on because you were a theater major in college or a music major like me. Boy, that's a story for another time. HTML, it's not that difficult of a concept, and it can be confusing when you're reading about it on Wikipedia, but if you go to codecademy.com and you take their free HTML course, you will know as much about HTML that I think you need to know for the rest of your life. You can learn it in 5 days to a week. HTML, in case I didn't make it clear, in case you don't already know, it's the foundation of websites. Anything you see on your phone, anything you see online, it's how do you take text, complete with images or links or bolds, italics, headings. How do you make that actually look like a finished web page? It's HTML. It's code, but it's really, really, really simple. It's not programming. So as soon as you learn how it works and the basics, you'll realize that all that confusing stuff that you thought was confusing is actually not. All right, this is kind of a low-tech thing, but it's something that we drill into our employees at Juice.ai. And it's something I drill into Ben, one of our partners and co-founders, he's back there. This is no joke. Keyboard commands. Raise your hand if you know copy and paste. Raise your hand if you know how to highlight the URL bar on any browser, whether it's Safari, Chrome, or anything. Raise your hand if you know the command for that, the keyboard command. I gotcha, and I'm only one keyboard command in. By the way, it's Control-L if you're on Windows or Command-L if you're on Mac. No matter where you are in your browser window, you smack that keyboard command, you're highlighting the URL bar, you can type in any website you want to go to, and you're much faster than using the mouse. This is seriously no joke. Like, I wish there was a game or a course you could take to learn about the apps you use and the computer you have, and you could find a way to use keyboard commands easily and learn them. It's a lot of muscle memory. It's like playing pool, shooting a basketball, anything else. Here's my suggestion. Look up a few key keyboard commands for your particular setup. If you use Microsoft Teams or you're on a Windows or a PC, whatever the app you spend your most time in, look up once a week a keyboard command that you can learn and internalize how to use. And your goal for the week, you use that keyboard command every time you go to do the action that you normally clicky your mouse with. Don't. Force yourself to stop and use a keyboard command instead. It's not that helpful if you just know one, but if you do this week after week after week after week, you will be able to do things probably 10 times more quickly than you could before. That's not an exaggeration. Your brain can move your fingers as fast as you think, and in some cases, even faster than you can think, right? If you know how to manipulate your apps and your windows and what you're doing on your computer with your hands, it's almost like at the speed of thought, you're using your computer. You can't do it with your mouse, and you can't do it with your voice either, although for typing and things like that, obviously voice to text is very helpful. This is where the rubber really meets the road. Thank you for raising your hands. Raise the other one if it's getting tired and you know everything I'm already saying, so you've raised it a bunch. Who here has a ChatGPT Plus subscription or has had a ChatGPT Plus subscription at some point? Ooh, okay. That's fine. I'm going to say this once as nicely as I can. Everyone here has the ability to go home and for 20 bucks a month get a ChatGPT Plus subscription. I really encourage you, if you have not already, go home, it doesn't have to be tonight, sometime this week, get a ChatGPT Plus subscription so you can use GPT-4. That's one of the big, fancy, shiny, large language models. Talk to this guy. It's a computer. I call him a guy. We actually call him the general at Juice.ai. But anyway, you go home, you talk to GPT-4 for 2 hours. If you don't do this and you don't start to learn things like, what is it capable of? How do I massage my inputs to get my desired outputs? If you don't do this, ladies and gentlemen, you deserve to lose your job, okay? I'm 100% serious about that. If you don't go home and learn about the most important technology in the most basic form, since electricity, you deserve to lose your job to someone who knows how to use it. And it's 20 bucks a month. If you spend an hour or two with it, you look up some of the bells and whistles, you're gonna know more than 95% of people walking around who have heard of ChatGPT, but they don't think to use it and realize how powerful this thing really is. And by the way, ChatGPT is like any other large language model in the way it works, the way it takes what you ask it and gives you an answer is all more or less the same. A couple more really easy concepts that will be used for the recipe I'll show you in a little bit. APIs, application programming interfaces. Was just chatting with Kevin earlier. Kevin has some dev experience. If you don't have any developer experience, that's okay. What is an API? Quite simply, it's how programs talk to one another. It's how different apps transmit information. Okay, what does that mean in practice? Think of every app like Google, YouTube, Facebook, if people still use that. They have a series of mailboxes that once you get access to those mailboxes, you can send programmatically data to one of those mailboxes. So for example, YouTube has a mailbox called an API endpoint is the technical term for uploading, /upload. So if I want to upload a video programmatically, I send a little message digitally to the upload endpoint. YouTube takes that video that I'm sending it and it uploads it. And I don't have to log in and click anything. If I know what I'm doing, I can do it programmatically. This is a bonus one. JSON, it looks intimidating and it sounds intimidating. JavaScript Object Notation is what JSON stands for. It's actually very simple. If you know JSON, you can understand any of those notes that are being put into the previous thing I just said, API endpoints, the mailboxes. It's really simple. JSON is always key, value. Name, Tom. Height, 5'6". Favorite color, green. That's all JSON is. The language of data online, it's all JSON. So you could spend a couple minutes, maybe half an hour reading about JSON. You'll be maybe confused at first, come back to it the next day. You'll know as much as you need to know about this, but it's critical because this is how data is transmitted online. Okay, now this is the part that I really hope and expect you can make use of. One more time, a show of hands. How many people here have heard of any of these platforms? Zapier, N8N.io. Good, okay. Do you use them? Zapier? Okay, good. That's awesome. I was worried that no one here would have any idea what any of these things were, and I'm like, oh, this is rough. This is everything. If you know how to use these platforms, you do not need to be a software developer to do some really crazy stuff. I'm talking any developer would be jealous about the type of stuff you can make, and it's actually not that hard if you use these platforms. Why are these platforms even more helpful today than they were in any other time? In 2023, these have become more powerful than ever. The reason is to do the more advanced things, you used to need to know how to code. You don't anymore because, remember ChatGPT? That guy is the most senior genius engineer the world has ever seen. That thing can make all the little code snippets that you need to take any of these platforms from being relatively simple in what they do to being extremely advanced. You're gonna look like a magician to your employer, and it's gonna work well for you when it's time to negotiate that raise. Sorry if the employers are in here, but this is a tactic that I'm sure your employees will use. Okay, Zapier. I'll keep this relatively quick because it sounds like most people already know about this one. If you haven't heard of this, go home, check out some YouTube videos, see how it works. It's really simple. In Zapier, you have a linear graph, and I get to say, if this happens, or when this happens, I want that to happen. Basically, if this, then that, right? This is what it looks like in practice. You say, for example, this is a real workflow, our proprietary technology. These are used internally for different things. When we get a new payment in Stripe, one of our merchant service providers, we get sent a Slack message. Why do we need this? Because we like to boost company morale such that every single time we get a new payment or a new customer, everyone gets to see it, everyone gets to be excited, because why else would we be doing business if it weren't for the revenue, right? So that's a really simple one. This is an example of a little bit more advanced, what Zapier calls a zap. It's a workflow. You don't have to start with doing this with 4 or 5 steps. You can go with just 2 steps. I bet everyone here has something that if they could automate, if this happens, then this happens. There's something you do every day on your job where if you could just say, man, if only I could make it so that a machine could do this one thing my boss has me do every time it comes up, man, my life would be easier. I promise you, you have one of these. With Zapier, you could probably in 10 minutes automate that thing. Make.com is very similar to Zapier.com. It's a slightly different user interface. I'm not shilling for any of these companies, mind you. It's just, if you like the way it looks more, don't worry about Zapier. Start with this. And one more point too, while I'm up here. Why is this stuff helpful? Why does this matter? Aside from doing simple tasks like, oh, every time we get an email, I add it to a spreadsheet. Every time we get a new form submission, I send an email to my boss with the details of that form. I add them to this list, this email, newsletter list over there, whatever it may be. You can kind of see it. It's a little blurry. There's a ChatGPT step. All of these low-code platforms allow you to leverage ChatGPT programmatically. So let's say you want to, we actually use this at Juice.ai. Every time we get an email to our support inbox, we have a zap that, 1, new email in Gmail from our support account. Step 2, we use ChatGPT to summarize the contents of that email. Who is the customer? What's their problem? Who's the best person to fix it? We then send a Slack channel notification with that information so that triaging support tickets, we don't need to pay for, I know some people pay for Zendesk, or we used Help Scout for a number of years. We don't use any of that anymore. We just set up zaps or workflows to help us with our specific support environment. And the result is that we can deal with support tickets and resolve them faster than ever before. Integrating ChatGPT is a game changer. If you already know about Zapier and you already use it, and you use it a lot, and you want to get more advanced, check out this platform. It's another product, N8N. What is it? It's just like Zapier, except you can do some really crazy shit with it. Obviously, I don't expect anything anyone here would make because you're sensible and not demented like us. You would not probably be starting making something like that. To give context of what this does, I'm pretty sure this workflow, it automates a YouTube video. So a customer that we had, this is an enterprise customer, web hosting company, they want to generate a YouTube video every time they add a new support doc, basically. And so we said, look, we're not in the video editing business, but we could build something like this that automates the generation of the YouTube video. It can also be more simple, like this. Why would you use this? If you get comfortable with a low-code tool like Zapier, and you're already doing the 1-step, 2-step, 4-step, 5-step stuff, and you want to go crazy, this, again, any developer out there, you can smoke a developer if you spend 1 week with this tool. You can smoke them because you'll be able to make the same stuff faster, and it's going to be instantaneous in terms of your ability to use it. And by the way, it's fun. You get to click things, drag things. We got a question, yeah.
Just go back to that URL.
N8N.io. By the way, at the end of this presentation, everyone, don't feel like you got to take too many notes. There's a QR code you can snap. It'll bring you to a blog post that summarizes everything I'm telling you today. I hated taking notes in school. I never take notes. You don't have to today. If you can, you'd like to. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I should have known when I saw the pens go out, but maybe you were doodling. I didn't want to say anything. N8N.io, that's what it's called. All right, last on our product train ride here. Pipedream. We've started using this application, this service, significantly because they have helpful versioning tools that, it matters when you're running 50 to 100 workflows that power one process or one customer account. This one's really advanced. I haven't met a lot of people who know about this. This company is fantastic. They have great customer service. Do not fuck with this unless you are comfortable using the previous tools I mentioned, because this is no joke. Why would you use this? Okay, anything you can do with code, you can do with Pipedream. And they also integrate with more apps than any other platform. If you can think of a random application that your company uses, you say, no one in the world uses, I don't know, YouTube's a bad example because everyone uses it, but let's just say YouTube was this really rare thing and you used it at your company and no one else did. If you use Pipedream, odds are, no matter how obscure that customer relationship management software that you use, no matter how random that accounting software you use is, Pipedream will probably integrate it with it. You need to know how to code to use Pipedream. But as with all of these services, you don't need to know how to deploy servers or do any fancy tech stuff. I can't tell you how much money we've spent before AI trying to set up all this type of stuff ourselves. It was horrendous. But with all these apps, you don't need to. If you already know how to do some development work and you're familiar with JavaScript, this thing is crazy. Thanks. Thank you, Scott. I'll keep it quick so that way we don't run out of battery.
Yeah, click close. Oh.
All right. This is conceptually, I think, the most difficult thing I'm going to talk about. People get really scared when they hear about this stuff. But I'm telling you, it's actually not that scary. And for us, converting a lot of our data storage from spreadsheets, like Excel sheets, Google Sheets, whatever you use, learning how to use databases for everything, it changes your life for the better. I don't know if you've ever had to mess with a Google Sheet with like 1.5 million rows. You're going to be sitting for 15 minutes just letting the thing load. It's awful. What is a backend? A backend's really simple. It's an app that processes your data and allows you to store data in a database. Raise your hand if you've ever worked with databases, like a MySQL database. I would imagine that some folks in here have. Okay, for everyone else, a database sounds scary. And it looks scary when you look at it, like the actual code and the scripting to make it. It's not scary at all. A database is literally just spreadsheets. You can think of a database as, you have like 5 different spreadsheets that you use to track 5 different types of data. A database is just that. It's a set of spreadsheets that you can access to take your data, add data, change your data. It only looks scary depending on the way you're looking at it. But whenever someone says database, literally think about it as all those random spreadsheets and Excel files that you haven't organized on your desktop. That's all it is, just a little bit more organized. All right, so I've already mentioned like what is a backend. It processes your data and it stores your data. You can get a little bit more advanced, but even this stuff is simple. Relational database management system. I won't even mention like specifics of that. It doesn't really matter. Just understand that this is where you start to go from, oh man, that spreadsheet that you have really sucks. You have way too much data. It's unorganized. You hate working with it, to, oh yeah, you can pull 5 million rows of data, no problem. Or rather, you can pull out a specific entry from millions of rows, no problem. It's fast as lightning, or at least faster than that Excel sheet that you're rocking. Newsflash, the general large language models, ChatGPT, it can command your database. And all of that funky code like this that you used to need to know how to do, you don't need it. There's platforms that can help you use AI to set up your database, to set up those spreadsheets that you normally hate working with this stuff. It's a breeze. You can literally, with these sorts of platforms, these are two examples, Supabase, that's what we use, and Firebase. They take everything you need in a back end and make it very easy to use in a nice looking package. You can quite simply tell, for example, Supabase, make me a database. I need to keep track of my user's first name, my user's last name, their email address, and their favorite color. I need to know this is what their order was, these are the products that were included in the order, etc. You don't have to know how to code anything. You just tell Supabase, hey, this is what I need my app to keep track of, and it'll set it all up for you. And it literally looks like a spreadsheet. That was a revelation for us. I know Airtable is a product that a lot of people use. We used to use it quite a bit. It's no substitute for something like this. This is what the comp sci guys at the school you went to, this is the type of stuff they were making, but before, it was a nightmare to work with. Today, if you don't want to get your hands dirty with setting anything up, you don't have to, because you have the world's most powerful engineer at your fingertips, and his name is his initials are AI. Another cool thing about Supabase and Firebase, or any backend as a service platform, remember those APIs I was telling you about, or what an API is? They set it up automatically, so you have a bunch of mailboxes ready to take any sort of data from anywhere, at any time for any reason. And it's really, really useful because, again, you had to know how to program a lot back in the day to do that sort of thing. And today, you don't have to know shit. Well, almost. You got to know a little bit, but I've been over the basics, and those should cover you enough. So this stuff's for real. I could talk for ages about it. Your specific use case, how you at your business could make use of this stuff. What's your most pressing problem? How could you combine AI and large language models with automation to make your most headache-inducing activity something that you don't even think about because it just happens in the background? You can leverage that today, no matter what you do. If what you do is mostly on a computer, you can use these tools that I've talked about and educate yourself just a little bit and make your lives easier. More importantly, you can make yourselves competitive in a marketplace where this stuff is going to start to do everything from design 3D print blueprints to help you decide what color to paint your bathroom, all right? Help you write poetry, obviously, you can do that right now. This stuff is only going to get more ubiquitous, it's going to get more powerful, and you want to be in the position where you're wielding it like a pet elephant, as opposed to being in front of the elephant and hoping that it responds when you ask it politely to stop running at you. Don't get steamrolled. You can become a superhuman instead. What are the key takeaways? I just want to review them real fast. And again, this presentation the presentation will be made available to you. A blog post summary will be made available to you. You got to learn the tech basics. I know maybe you've held off on doing that. Maybe you thought, someone else will take care of it. No. You do it. If you carry around a cell phone in your pocket all day, you owe it to yourself to know a little bit more about how that device works. And in my opinion, the only things that anyone needs to know, so long as you're not a developer, you got to know HTML, you got to know JavaScript object notation, you got to at least know what they are. You need to have keyboard commands ingrained into your soul, because if you can use your computer twice as fast as your colleague, you can do twice as much as them in the same amount of time. You can either take the free hours you have and do something fun, Or you could start that side project or that side hustle that you've been thinking about doing for a while. APIs, application programming interfaces, that's how machines communicate with one another. If you know how APIs work, even in a nutshell, you can use those low-code platforms to do a whole lot of fancy things. You don't need to know how to program, you just need to know how these things work fundamentally. I put simple JavaScript in there. If you want to take the time, the Code Academy JavaScript course, very helpful. I did it years ago. We have all of our employees do it as part of onboarding. It's a nice to have, not a must have. These low-code tools, check them out. Obviously, if you don't think you have an immediate use for them, don't bother. I'm gonna tell you right now though, I would think long and hard about just one thing I have to do as part of my job, my business, or my role. And I would figure out how to automate that one thing. I don't care if it's the most simple thing in the world. There's something you hate doing, you don't have to do it. If you do this one time, you'll know how to do it for a bunch of different tasks down the road. Consider ditching those 50 spreadsheets with a gazillion rows that no one likes. Try setting up a database. This alone could make you invaluable to your employer. I'm assuming certain companies already have very, very sophisticated data storage, more mature companies. If you're working at a smaller shop or you know someone who's working at a smaller shop, my guess is they don't have a system for this already. If you were the one that showed up and made a back end with a database setup for the company, you're gonna look like a superstar. Meanwhile, all you did was talk to the machine and say, help, please help me make this. I needed to do this and that. And then the machine does all the work. But you get to take all the credit. Lastly, I haven't plugged Juice.ai much. We're happy to help you grow your organic traffic. If you need a more sophisticated automation solution at your business and you don't want to set it up yourselves, we do some consulting for that. We work with if you have clients of your own that you want to automate organic search content deliverables for, we can do that too. We work a lot with web hosting companies and rolling out that solution to their customers, but we're happy to consider working with you too if it's something that you want to introduce. More importantly though, let's see if I can go back. Well, you'll have the presentation. More importantly, learn about everything I said. Go home and talk to ChatGPT. Once you do, there's going to be before and after. Start living life in the now and not in 2022. Thank you very much.
I'm super quiet, so I did that for a second.
Say thank you, and also, you have time for Q&A?
Yes, absolutely.
Mike?
So some of these things I've looked at doing at work, but there's always big security concerns with the company. What data gets out, what tools we point at API endpoints, and what's going to happen to that. How can somebody be assured that their privacy of their data confidentiality is going to be maintained?
Yeah, there was a customer we had that the KYC was a big deal with their data. The reality is with these platforms that I mentioned or any other automation product, there's going to be a plan, or generally it's like an upsell where they work with you and figure out what are your needs specifically for data privacy, how should data be handled, how should it be stored, when and how should it be deleted. We have not had those needs for most of our customers, but any of those platforms I mentioned, they will talk to you about that very thing and they'll find a way to make it work for you. I think these are enterprise solutions generally, so you're going to pay a little bit more than like a consumer or a smaller business would, but obviously it's worth it if you can increase your productivity by 2 or 3x. So just get in touch with them. Any other questions? Yes.
You mentioned PipeDream has like the largest, is that who you said has the largest integrations
That's right.
ever? Like Zapier has like everything.
They have a ton, that's right.
But PipeDream has more.
PipeDream, my understanding is that Zapier has a lot, and to be honest, this goes back and forth almost every day. PipeDream has a way of handling OAuth programmatically, so if any server anywhere has OAuth authorization, as opposed to like just an API key, you can set up a template and use it that way with Pipedream. I don't know if Zapier has a similar
So
functionality.
if zaps don't exist for a certain function, which they should, because whoever set up the zaps didn't do them all, Pipedream may have,
Yes, and another thing too that Pipedream has. So if there's no integration that Zapier has, you're stuck using just basic HTTP requests. With Pipedream, you can actually download. This is the only platform that allows this. You can download PyPy packages, NPM JavaScript packages, which allow you to use the command line interface in your code snippets, and that allows you to almost completely bypass. If there's a CLI for it, you can access it.
but you said you need to be a programmer for Pipedream.
It's more advanced, yeah.
So like, what's the in between?
Zapier's fine. If you can't do what you need to do with Zapier, you got to call Juice.ai. So. I saw some hands back there. Yes, that's you.
Yeah, are you familiar at all with like content creation software that there's like sort of enables you to loop in AI, that train your voice and set policies for it, and where like I'm just starting to look into it, especially make some of the low level of videos. Easier. Do you recommend any that I should start with?
So you basically want to fine tune your own models and then couple that with, like, let's say, like a vector database to reference hard data about a certain thing?
I probably don't have the right vocabulary, but I'd like to, like, we write a lot of employee profiles.
Uh-huh.
And they're really similar. We want like the first two sentences, optimized for research, blah, blah, blah. They're really, if we could have an automated system where humans input their basic data and a machine spit out the profile in the right format optimized. Because it's really low level writing. Right? And a human can just sort of review them in bulk. What kind of software? I mean, I know there's software like Writer. I'm not that familiar with it.
We're not the people to ask anymore about the more consumer-facing tools where you log in and generate text. We do everything programmatically at this point because we're generating just so many pages, so much stuff. We did the math. To add a period one time to all the content we post in a day would take it'd be like their full-time job every day. It's just not possible. But it sounds like what you need is, or are looking for, is called fine-tuning a model. OpenAI will actually let you do that right now today. All you got to do is present it with a file that says, here are some examples of my input, here are some examples of the output and how it should look. So if you make sure that the outputs, and you only need about 10 examples, if you make sure they look exactly how you want them to look, odds are that model will do exactly that once you train it. They don't have a user interface to do that yet, but they're going to announce one, I think, sometime before the end of the year, so they say. So you'll be able to literally say, okay, let me make my training file, make sure the inputs look good, make sure the outputs look good, and upload it, and all of a sudden you'll be able to call your model that is specifically designed to do exactly what you need as far as output formatting. Fine-tuning a model. So if you just Google OpenAI fine-tune, you'll be brought to their materials. I think it's easy enough to understand.
They already have something in the back end where you can fine-tune their existing models.
Yes, you can. You can fine-tune models. You just have to do so with an API call, and a lot of people, that's where it starts to disconnect. I mean, you could probably use Postman to do it, but.
She could use Zapier like you were recommending, right?
That's right, yeah. You could, with a low-code platform today, send a request to OpenAI and have it train it. Just send me an email. It's Derek@Juice.ai. I'll show you how to do it. I'm happy to do that. I love this stuff. So
in that example, you could just use a Google spreadsheet to say, go to this line, and that's the format.
basically, yeah. Basically, there's a.
If you're wondering about your input and output.
That's right. You have to make sure that you're following some technical specifications with the training file. But yes, you could do that today. I saw a hand back there. Yeah.
Can you just go back to the QR code?
Yes.
Slide 4.
I couldn't get it.
It was on the screen.
Hopefully it sticks this time.
Too far. No, shit.
Too far?
I'm just joking.
Oh.
You go all the way, and then you go one too far, and you
Oh, right. I was about, man, I got really confused about how my own.
It can't get results.
Oh, is it not any good? If you go to juice.ai/blog, SEM PDX-presentation. That's the blog post. Again, just shoot me an email. There's not like 1,000 people in here, so I'll be able to handle it. Yeah.
So you said pay the $20 and go with the
You got to pay the 20. You got to pay the 20.
And what is the advantage of doing Pro versus, and then you have 4 instead of 3.5?
Right. There's one. So the difference between 3.5 and 4 is its ability to perform creative tasks in a way that would pass the human test. So the answer is just going to give it more sophisticated. Its recall on things like law or STEM fields is going to be higher, and it will be able to interpret your instructions a little bit more creatively than 3.5 would. A lot of folks, there's a lot of videos going around on YouTube right now and on social media. It's like a gotcha. It's like, oh, look how stupid AI is. It can't even answer a simple question that we asked it. Generally speaking, I noticed those people use 3.5 and not 4. And it's almost night and day in terms of its ability to have what appears to be cognition. And it's only going to get smarter from there.
Plugins also? Plugins?
Plugins are good, yeah. You get access to plugins. Right, there's these things. So Kevin is talking about plugins. If you upgrade to ChatGPT Plus and you use GPT-4, there are these things called plugins. Paige, my lovely girlfriend back there, she uses the Instacart plugin. So what can you do? You get to talk to ChatGPT and say, hey, I don't like this type of fish. I like these veggies. I like this type of food. Give me my meal planning for the week, all the recipes I'm going to cook, and then it'll automatically take that, decide on what your meals are going to be, and then it will automatically place the order with Instacart. So that way you don't even have to do the shopping yourself. That's an example of a plugin at work, and there's a lot of them, so you can do a whole lot. Any other questions? Yes?
So the biggest resistance I got from the owner of the company was the transactional costs for like Zapier, these pass-through systems, because they get you per transaction.
That's right.
So I'm curious, since your company uses them a lot,
A ton.
what is your cost per customer about for those types of things?
Total cost per customer, we keep on a monthly basis, it's got to be $4 or less total. So that includes all the OpenAI calls and all the GPT generation. That includes all the low-code runs, let's say. N8N.io specifically, you can self-host, and we do. And it's just, you've got your server, you can run it for free. They don't bill you. They don't bill you based on every workflow. And that's really useful.
Does that.
That's right.
The other ones do that too, or?
No, but by the time you start spending $500 a month, $1,000 a month, you get a lot. Like, you really have to be pumping to move the needle in terms of your spend. And obviously, like, look, customers offset our costs, because the only times we scale that usage is when we get a new customer. So it all adds up. If your use case is different, then you'd have to maybe analyze it. But I'm sure you can make it work with enough scale. Pipedream especially, you literally just paying for the compute. It's like having your own server on DigitalOcean or something. It's not that much more expensive. Any other questions? We've got answers, hopefully. No? You've been a lovely audience, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for letting me talk about this stuff. Go home, get a ChatGPT Plus subscription. Don't screw up.
Well, thank you. We still have the room for another half an hour, 45 minutes. So enjoy, talk, network, have some music.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. All right, did you get it?